All right, good morning, everyone, and on Facebook Live and those on WGPL 1350 AM. My name is James Slim Overton. Oh, let me start up. Every day we rise, it's a great day to be alive. And the Seven Cities Forums of Hampton Roads presents Portsmouth Coffee Talks morning show. My name is James Slim Overton, and I am one of the hosts, along with Leah Drake Stitt and Thomas the Colonel Chapman.
Good morning.
Good morning, host. How are you doing?
All Wonderful.
Great, great, great. And we're here this morning. We have some brothers here from Kappa Alpha Psi Fraternity Incorporated. And I'll introduce Bruce Copeland, who initiated this show, and let him introduce the brothers as they come on. I see we have two of the other brothers along with Bruce. Good morning to you, Bruce. How you doing?
Good morning. How are you?
I'm doing great. And it's good to see you this morning. And you know, you're a regular guest on here, but this is the first time you're coming up here representing your fraternity. So welcome, welcome, welcome.
Yes, good morning. Thank you for having us. I want to introduce to you our esteemed chapter Polemarch, Brother Robert Moore, and also a very important dignitary within our fraternity, definitely within our region. Brother Clarence F. Nelson Jr., past Eastern Province Polemarch and wearer of the Elder Watson Diggs Award, which is the highest award you can receive as a member within the fraternity for your work in the fraternity.
Oh, very impressive. So before you get started with Colonel, if we ask you if you will do our disclaimer.
Yes, the views stated on this program are the guests and the hosts and represents no other entity. And so this keep us out of Facebook jail.
Yeah, and you know what's quite interesting, I know you all going to talk about the Kappas, and most of the other fraternities were founded on historically Black campuses, but the Kappas were founded on Indiana University's campus in Indiana during a time when they had the migration from the South to Indiana, and that's where the Klan were pretty strong, you know, and that's kind of ironic. But you were at a university that had less than 1% Black people. You know, I saw a reading that said you could walk on campus for a few days before you saw another Black face. But you all established a fraternity there at that university. So, you know, if you want to start there or wherever you want to start, I know you have a lot to talk about and talk about the upcoming event this weekend. But give us a little history. Well, first about the Portsmouth Suffolk alumni chapter of Kappa Alpha Psi.
Okay, well, I'll start, and then I guess I will defer to Brother Nelson. He's been a Kappa much longer than I, and also Brother Moore can chime in. As it relates to the Portsmouth Suffolk chapter, we initially started in 1973 as the Portsmouth chapter of Kappa Alpha Psi. It's interesting because we later changed our name to Portsmouth Suffolk, but at its inception, many of the members that made up the Portsmouth chapter of Kappa Alpha Psi were graduates of Norfolk State University, a few other graduates from other places, but primarily they were from Norfolk State University. Portsmouth didn't have a chapter at that time. The Norfolk alumni chapter was probably the most recognized chapter in the area. Most of those persons who were significant to the political and social climate in that time were members of the Norfolk alumni chapter. I think at this point, it would be very, very important to mention that one of the persons who helped charter our chapter was the late James Slim Overton, a local judge in the city of Portsmouth, a civil rights leader, who was an esteemed Kappa in this fraternity. In fact, he was the former regional director, is what most people would be familiar with. We call him the province Polemarch, but it's the equivalent of the regional director. And by the way, our region includes DC, Virginia, Maryland, and Bermuda. Brother Overton at that time, and still today, it was highly respected in Kappa Alpha Psi. In fact, in his honor, we issue a scholarship every year called the James Overton Scholarship, which we give to an undergraduate member of our fraternity, which we will award this weekend, Saturday, to a student for academic achievement. Who the student that has the highest grade point average receives that award. So even in circles today, if you mention James Overton and Kappa Alpha Psi, especially in the Eastern Province, people stand up. They remember Judge Overton, but he helped support the development of this chapter. It started with, I believe, approximately 10 people. I can't remember the exact number. And these guys, and one of the interesting things, I talked to one of the charter members last weekend. I saw him out in public and we talked about it. And he said, well, you know, we were talking about offering recent graduates from college the opportunity to affiliate with the alumni chapter at a reduced rate, because we recognize that they're not always establishing their career right out of school, and that really will help them. And he said, yeah, I remember back in the day when we started Portsmouth Suffolk chapter, we couldn't hang out with those big guys in Norfolk. We didn't make enough money. The dues were too high. So all the brothers who had modest means got together and said, let's start another chapter where we can afford. And they started it in Portsmouth, and we've been going strong ever since. This is 2023 will be our 50th anniversary, and we've made a significant impact in the city of Portsmouth, Hampton Roads, and the region. But I could go on, but that's really how we got started, why we got started. Most of those members were members of Norfolk alumni, but decided that they would branch out and do their own thing in Portsmouth. And we're so glad that they did, because it was needed. And our chapter has grown from a modest number of 15 or 20 people to nearly 60 people under the leadership of our current Polemarch, Brother Moore. We've grown significantly. Brother Moore, is there anything you'd like to add?
And now you have a permanent home.
Yeah, that's another exciting thing. In that most people don't have a property. And one of the hardest things to do is to get people who share your ethnic background and your struggle to come together and do something that costs a lot of money. Yeah. And we were able to do that property that we have on Portsmouth Boulevard, by the way.
Yeah.
4300 Portsmouth Boulevard. I always tell people, don't laugh, it's paid for. That property has been paid for 20 something years, maybe 25 years. We bought the property at an auction and we paid it in full within 5 years.
Wow, that's great.
And we haven't paid anyone any money to meet anywhere in the last 25 years, when before we were going to a restaurant here or there for a meeting space. But I think it's symbolic of, or a metaphor for what we can do in the Black community if we come together. We often rent and we go to these venues for these elaborate parties and celebrations, but we don't own a thing. So we're really, really proud of our house and the equity and money that it has generated for us. And we take pride in it, and we keep it up. And it's right there prominently on the corner of Portsmouth Boulevard. I can't remember the other street. But
I can't either, but you can't miss it.
Yeah, you can't miss it. It's the house someone unfortunately ran into during the police chase.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was our property. Yeah.
Mr. Overton.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Chapman and Miss Stith, good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Brother Moore, good morning. Brother Copeland. Brother Copeland is being a little modest for a chapter to pay a house off in 5 years. They have a little money. They may not spend it as fast as Norfolk alumni spend its, but Portsmouth, Suffolk, and I certainly remember when it was Portsmouth alumni chapter, has done and is doing an outstanding job in our region, which we call our province, with their scholarship, their guide right, their community service. We look upon them as one of the shining stars of this fraternity and of this province. I'm also proud to say that I followed James A. Slim Overton Sr., if I may use senior, as Province Polemarch after Brother James B. Abram. And a lot of the practices and procedures that Brother Overton, excuse me, put in place, we still follow.
Mm.
And we're very proud to note that. And Kappa Alpha Psi is still moving forward. If I may shift the perspective just a little, going back to the late 1800s, going back to Indiana, which was called the Ku Klux Klan headquarters of the North. If you recall it, your history reveals, if you would know that through the story of Kappa Alpha Psi and through the history of the Eastern Province, it gives a very detailed and sometimes grim sounding, but proud history of those started out with 11 men. One did not return to school, a Mr. Freddie Mitchell. Therefore, he was never claimed as a founder or a charter member, unfortunately. That the Kappas, the principal Kappas, if you will, and we don't use that word principal in Kappa Alpha Psi often, but had come from had transferred from Howard University. For those who did, about 3. And I will say founder Elder Watson Diggs, founder Byron K. Armstrong. They decided to journey back home to their state of Indiana. And they said, like God created the world, they said, yes, we'll create a fraternity. And there was an opportunity, as it was said, that the men and very few women, if any, Black, and we were Negroes then, didn't see each other often. We were employed at the fraternity houses as chauffeurs, as butlers, as chefs, as in other menial positions. But guess what? It gave us a job. It gave us an opportunity that those brothers took care of and were able to overcome a lot of the deficits from whence we had been put and from whence we started, no fault of our own. The idea of fellowship and the idea of camaraderie and the idea, however, which were overridden by the concept of what, Brother Copeland, Brother Moore, achievement in every field of human endeavor. And that guide has been our principle for, well, I think 112 or 13 years now. The fundamental purpose of Kappa Alpha Psi, you'll hear Kappa men say, is what? Achievement. Achievement. And when you hear that, then you know you're talking to a serious Kappa man. Through the years, there was a letter penned by the charter member and founder, Elder Watson Diggs, to the university that says Kappa Alpha Psi, and this was back, obviously, and it may not be obvious, it may not be obvious if you don't know, of course, in the year 1911, and said Kappa Alpha Psi is open for business. We're looking for students, regardless of race, creed, or color. Regardless of race, creed, or color, who would adopt that principle of achievement, who are interested in their own development, who are interested in seeing that all students are given a fair opportunity and can be involved in the workings and the inner workings of the university, Indiana University. And with that clarion call that went out to other universities, there then became the Beta chapter at the University of Illinois and the Gamma chapter at the University of Iowa. And then we really went home to the Delta chapter at Wilberforce and the Epsilon chapter at Lincoln, Zeta Ohio State University, Eta chapter, University of Nebraska, and Kappa Alpha Psi took off. We were originally thought we would be only a Midwestern fraternity, but then the founders looked at the issues around the world, and more specifically around the country, and looked south, and there became eventually a Pi chapter at Morehouse University and a Tau chapter at West Virginia University. and a Z chapter at Howard University, and a Kappa chapter at Meharry Medical School. So Kappa, today we have over about 700 chapters around the world, and that are dedicated again to the theme of achievement, to brotherhood, to fellowship, to community service, to our guide right, which means guiding our youth right. That project was started in 1921 by the St. Louis, Missouri alumni chapter, and it thrives all over the world. That's our focus, guide right, community action, youth development, and we can't leave out our Kappa Alpha Psi Foundation Incorporated. That is the philanthropic arm of Kappa Alpha Psi that was chartered. It's not a chapter, it is an organization, 501c3 in 1980. And we made our first presentation in 1982 at our conclave in Detroit, Michigan. I would ask you to Google Kappa Alpha Psi. I would ask you to Google the history and the story of Kappa Alpha Psi. You may see Brother Moore's name come up. You may see Brother Copeland's name come up in terms of what Kappa Alpha Psi has accomplished. We're moving forward. We're very pleased to be hosting, I think, in this region, about the 4th or 5th Eastern Province Council, which begins Thursday morning, of course, with a golf tournament at the Badawi, and then with the Eastern Province Board of Directors meeting Thursday, and then our community service projects throughout the weekend. And of course, for the public meetings, Mr. Overton, Chapman, and Ms. Stith, we certainly invite you to come out to our public meeting on Friday evening, I think at 6:30 at the Sheraton Waterside Hotel, and get a true flavor for what Kappa Alpha Psi means. We think we're synonymous with the word community.
All right.
We're synonymous with the word fellowship and guide right and Kappa League. And we're off and running again. Kudos to the Portsmouth Suffolk chapter for the job you are doing. We're looking to have a great fellowship. We're looking to raise, I have to say this, Brother Polemarch, the Kappa Alpha Psi Foundation is looking to raise $50,000 this weekend at our luncheon.
All right.
We've dedicated that $50,000. We're a pass-through. We're going to forward that check on to the Kappa Alpha Psi Foundation with its headquarters in Philadelphia to support the National Kappa Scholars, to support the National Kappa Foundation programs, including Guide Right, including our community service projects, including our youth development projects. Brother Moore's schedule is full. Brother Copeland, as chairman, local chairman of the province this year, is full. We're looking for an exciting weekend. There's a lot more to be said, Brother Copeland, Brother Moore.
And Brother Moore, before you start, you're Polemarch, so let people know the role of the Polemarch, because the different fraternities have different names for their leadership. So explain what the Polemarch is and the role of the Polemarch, and then you can go.
Polemarch is the Greek word for president. Kappa Alpha Psi was at a great advantage by having its founders working where in the different white fraternity houses on campus, again, where they were chefs, they were gophers, if you will. They were directed and paid minimal wage, and they listened. They picked up on some of the language that was used in the white fraternities. They picked up on some of the principles. And let us say, for those principles that we did adopt, we adopted the best principles. Again, as it says in our Constitution, we do not discriminate based upon race, creed, or color. And we're very proud to have that. We're the only Alpha chapter of a fraternity at Indiana University. We were founded in Indiana Thursday. January 5th, 1911. I was told it was a cold, dreary evening. I was told that the brothers had said it's time for us to get started, and started they did. You may finish, Brother Moore.
Yeah, I was going to ask him, anything left for you, Brother Moore, on that Polemarch?
Now you can see why he is our Laurel Wreath Award winner. He's just full of knowledge. He's good wisdom, just great information. If you listen to Brother Clarence Nelson, you don't have to pick up the book, A History of Kappa Psi. He's just full of it, and that's why we love him. And the only other thing I would add to that is that brother Copeland and Brother Nelson both touched on it when well, of course, it's basically the president of fraternity, but thinking of when the local chapter started, it was mostly brothers that was coming directly out of college or returning from military. And then I think of some of the things synonymous with my role in this local chapter. I came here being in the military. Came here because I was in the Navy, and that's I'm originally from Boston, up and I went to school, University of Hartford. When I came here, Brother Copeland was the Polemarch at that time, and then he came back and served the second term. So it started off with guys coming directly out of college and military. The military brought me here, and I just happened to have the opportunity now to be the president or the Polemarch of our chapter, as I was elected by my fellow members, and it's definitely just a great honor, especially at the time during our Eastern Province Council.
And let me add one more thing to Brother Moore said the Laurel Wreath, which is an important award in our fraternity, but I don't want to get it confused because there are probably some Kappas listening and they know the difference. The Elder Watson Diggs Award is what Brother Nelson has. That's the highest.
Yep, my apologies.
No problem.
Okay.
The highest award that you can receive for service to and within the fraternity. Now, the next highest award, the Laurel Wreath, which Brother Nelson should probably have that as well, is, for service that the scope of your service is international. It is broad in scope in terms of this entire nation, the world, and very few people have that award. So those are our two highest awards in Kappa.
Brother Copeland, I'm glad you made that distinction. I don't want a brother calling in and saying, Brother Nelson has promoted himself to the Laurel Wreath. Don't want that to happen.
Absolutely. Thank you, Brother Copeland.
We almost have a Panhellenic gathering here. We have two Omegas watching, Kenny Wright and Gary Harris and Jackie Kendall, who is Delta. So
all right,
it's turning into a Panhellenic gathering here. But anyway, I just wanted to mention them, give them a shout out. They're giving their congratulations to you guys.
Cool. While Kenny Wright is on the line, it might be important to say that we're honoring at our public meeting one of his Omega brothers, Brother Dr. Cardell Portillo will be the Community Service Award. He's an Omega. That just shows you that there's some great Omegas out there. They didn't make it a Kappa, but they nonetheless turned out to be great people. Just like some Kappa, some Omegas honored a Kappa the other night. Yes,
absolutely.
Dr. Bracy, they honored Dr. Bracy. Right.
Yes. And also at our public meeting, along with Dr. Portillo, we will be honoring Louise Lucas, and we will also honor Dr. Raymond Jackson, federal judge.
Okay.
You really can't come to Portsmouth and start honoring people and not honor Louise Lucas.
You better believe that.
The most powerful woman in politics in the state of Virginia. So that was an easy selection for us.
Let me ask this, and we talked about there were other fraternities or sororities we've had on here, representatives from those groups, organizations, and it's about public service. And you all carry that, especially the ones that probably pledged on the college level, and you have people that pledge alumni chapters, but those ones in the college level, when you graduate, they still instill that attitude of public service, and that carries throughout the rest of your life. And how important is that for the different groups to be involved in public service, and talk about some of the things that you all do here locally?
Yeah, well, Kappa Alpha Psi, it's biggest contribution, I believe, to community service. Now, we do a lot of things, but what we are known for is our God Right program. And that is a umbrella that holds a lot of different programs, but under that umbrella, the most valuable or most significant program is our Guide Right program, which specifically targets young people. We have a Guide Right program in Portsmouth, and we also have one in Suffolk. So it's just a program that develops leadership skills. We provide mentoring. We are encouraging furthering their education via college, if not being prepared for the world of work, or maybe even going into the military, or all of the above. So in our chapter, we do a lot of that. One of the things that we do also regarding Guide Right is that we give scholarships every year. It's interesting that last year, well, over the years, we probably have given $100,000 or more, but during the last 12 months, we gave $10,000 in scholarships. And the interesting thing is that that's a lot for a chapter our size. Sometimes we have to restrain each other from giving it all away because their heart is really in the community and wanting to work with these young people. So we went from giving one $1,000 scholarship away to giving $10,000 worth of scholarships. And I anticipate that we'll give even more. Another thing that we're going to do during this regional meeting that we're going to have here in Norfolk is that we have a community service project that is targeting the teachers at Douglas Park Elementary School. Often we will do things like backpacks and school supplies, but during this time of year, school is 3 months away from being closed, 3 or 4 months away from being closed. But what we thought about was that teachers are never really considered, and that they spend a significant amount of the money that they earn giving back to their classroom. So we decided that we were going to gift those teachers with a financial reward at that particular school. We would have loved to do that entire school division, but that wasn't within our reach. So we targeted one school, and what we'll be doing at the end of this convention is delivering a financial contribution to the individual teachers in that school, not to the administration, to the main office, but to each individual teacher, so that they can do what they felt like they needed to do to help to support the classroom during the year. And the good thing about our chapter is that we have a history of having a lot of educators, and I think most African-American organizations do have a lot of educators in those organizations, but we've been blessed to have one former school superintendent of Portsmouth, Dr. Rondell Edwards. You may remember him years ago.
Yes.
I know Leah remembers.
Definitely so.
A political leader in the community for some time.
Unite.
Yes, Rondell Edwards. And we also have Dr. Bracy currently, and Suffolk Superintendent, Dr. John Gordon, who's a member of our chapter, is the superintendent of that school division. And recently we had as many as 3 superintendents in the 7 cities. Dr. Parker over in Newport News was formerly the superintendent, and we had 3 superintendents serving all at one time. So our community service is broad. Of course, we do the ordinary things during the holidays, et cetera, but yes.
And I know the other host has questions. I want to shout out Vanessa Clutch Pearson. She is a member of Zeta Phi Beta sorority, and she's watching. I started the name calling, so I better continue and make sure I recognize everybody that's on the line.
She will be at our public meeting bringing greetings from the Zetas.
Okay.
Today, yes.
Okay, that's right. All right, excuse me, Brother Nelson, or go ahead, Leah.
I was going to say, broadening the perspective that Brother Copeland and Brother Moore have said, and that is to give credit and honor to our National Panhellenic Council that's made up of all 9 organizations, and to bring it closer to home to the Hampton Roads Panhellenic organization. All have one major focus, and that is public service. We may do things a little differently. We may say things a little differently. Sometimes we may act a little differently, but our major focus is public service. And if you were to look at the types of programs and initiatives that our fraternities have, that our sororities have, they all come back to that public service, community development, a focus on youth, scholarship, and that's what makes us different a lot of times from the other other fraternities and sororities as to what our focus continues to be, and I applaud them for such.
Hey, Leah, before you ask your question, we're going to make the transition from the radio to Facebook Live only. And I want to thank all the listeners for on WGPL 1350 AM for listening this morning. And those who want to continue to watch the show or listen to the show, tune in on my Facebook page and you can continue with us. Okay, Leah, I'm sorry.
Well, young men, it's so good to be on with you all this morning, and also to hear that this weekend you're honoring Cordell Patillo and Louise Lucas, and who was the third again?
Judge Raymond A. Jackson.
Judge Raymond A. Jackson, all good friends of mine anyway, and also two great Norcomites. So it's always good when you honor a Norcomite, okay? And Louise and Cordell Patillo. But how many are you expecting in attendance at your event this weekend?
Well, it's open to the public.
Okay.
You know, it's hard to predict, but I tell you that we have over 600 Kappa men registered for this convention. So if they only came by themselves, that's a minimum of 600 members. We have, we're at the Sheraton in Norfolk. We have an overflow hotel at the Marriott and at the Main. I do want to emphasize this though. Mayor Glover will be there as well. Bobby Scott will be at our public meeting. The president of Hampton University, the president of Norfolk State University,
Wonderful.
the NSU concert choir will perform. A lot of dignitaries will be there. I wanted to explain why we are the Portsmouth chapter, but we're holding our convention in Norfolk. We're only doing that because of space. We needed the venue with the most amount of space. But knowing that we weren't going to be in Portsmouth, which is where our heart is and which is where we would want to be, we decided that we would bring various activities to Portsmouth so that we would be contributing to the economy in the city of Portsmouth.
Okay.
So we will be hosting a golf tournament on Thursday at the Bottomweek Golf Course, and we have about 75 to 100 golfers there. Again, we've also targeted Douglas Park Elementary School. Our community service dollars will be given for the purposes to advance a good cause in Portsmouth. And we are not having members of the Divine Nine from the Norfolk area to present at our public meeting. We've invited all of our Portsmouth Divine Nine. So we couldn't bring the hotel to Portsmouth, but we brought Portsmouth to the hotel.
Great job.
It is a Portsmouth event. The Mayor Glover will be there, and the citizens that we're honoring, except for two of them are from Portsmouth. We're honoring Brother Jackson, not only because he's worthy and not only because he's a Kappa brother, but because he's worthy. He just happens to be in the Norfolk chapter.
Good man. He's a good man. So I'm glad to hear that you will be honoring Raymond as well. Now, as a citizen, okay, so you're starting on Thursday night. What event will you have Thursday night?
Well, Thursday night, it's the main nights are going to really be Friday and Saturday, but Thursday night, we're going to have our Eastern Province Board of Directors meeting. There would be a chartering of a brand new chapter to our province. I can't remember the name. I think Brother Nelson may know, but that
Gainesville,
Virginia. Yes, they will be chartered as a new chapter in the fraternity. Following that event, we're just going to have a host chapter reception in the area of the hotel that we have secured for receptions for those individuals attending. But also on that day, we have our Eastern Province Undergraduate Leadership Conference. So undergraduates from the states of DC, Virginia, Maryland, Bermuda will be at the hotel where they will have a full day of instruction on fraternity business, also about civic, social service issues and leadership during that entire day. So the hotel will be active on that day. However, now on Friday is when we start with the first business session. And this is another thing that I think Leah and Slim and all of our Norcomites will be happy about. I happen to have graduated from Norcom as well.
Yes,
So
yes, sir.
I'm always happy to hear when Norcom is on the map. But Norcom's ROTC color guard will do the opening posting of colors at the first business session that morning, on Friday morning. Then on Friday, if I'm correct, Brother Nelson, during noon, they're going to have the foundation luncheon. Now, the foundation luncheon is open to the public.
Okay.
Anybody can come to the foundation luncheon. I believe the foundation luncheon is approximately $50, but you can come with $500 or $1,000 if you want to contribute more to the cause.
Mhm.
Then Friday evening, we're going to have a night of entertainment, and our theme for that night is going to be HBCU Greek night. So you can come and wear your HBCU t-shirt, sweater, or your Greek sweater or t-shirt, and we're going to have a DJ, music, etc. That will be on Friday. That too is open to the public at a very, very nominal cost. And let me just go back, because I think I forgot this. On Thursday during the day is when the golf tournament is going to occur.
Okay.
The
Okay.
golf tournament. But then, so that would be Friday night. Then on Saturday, we're back to business with a business session, etc. But Saturday during noon is the Achievement and Awards Luncheon. I chair that committee for the region, and I will be there presenting a monetary award to the James Overton awardee for the highest grade point average, and that will be at noon, and that's open to the public. Those are $50 a ticket as well. Then that we will also hold on Friday night, the Friday evening at 7 o'clock, the public meeting that we've been talking about. Following that meeting, our regional director will have a private VIP reception for Dr. Patillo and Raymond and those Divine Nine representatives who've come out to bring greetings. And also on Saturday night, at the same time, we'll be hosting what we call the sneaker ball. So we will have what we call a closed banquet, which is for members only, black tie dinner. Following that dinner, we will have the sneaker ball open to the public. So the ideal is that everybody comes out looking real nice and have on their nicest pair of sneakers. Also have casino games there, DJ, 360 machine, photo booth, all those kinds of things to make the evening very exciting. And then the last major event will occur on Sunday morning, which is our inspirational breakfast. That occurs about 8 o'clock in the morning. And we will do what Black people have been doing since the beginning of time, just give on a Sunday morning. And that really covers our weekend. It may not seem like a lot.
It seems like a lot, Bruce.
Yeah, but
it seems like a lot.
They are working us to death. I agreed to do this, and I knew what it would mean, but it's really a joy to see something that doesn't exist be created, and it grows and grows and turns out to be something great. So we're just beginning. Probably Wednesday, I'll be over at the hotel helping to set up, but that's what we got going on. But I encourage everybody, if you can't come to anything, come to the public meeting so that you can meet everyone that's there. Mayor Alexander from Norfolk will be there simply because we're hosting in his city.
Norfolk.
It's the protocol. It's the protocol. And Mayor Glover will be there. Yeah. So again, we tried to bring Portsmouth to the hotel.
Well, tell me this, for those who may want to don those beautiful sneakers and come to your sneaker ball, how much will it cost? And is it too late for them to purchase tickets to attend the sneaker ball?
Brother Moore, could you answer that question, please?
Yes. So the sneaker ball is $15 for that event, and also for the event before on Friday night. But you can go to both events and just pay $10. So a total of $20 for both events, Friday night and Saturday night, or you can pay just the $15 for the sneaker ball.
Okay, very affordable.
Yeah, and I want to let people know that it's affordable on purpose. It's intentional. Sometimes if you don't put a high dollar value on something, somebody thinks it's not worth anything. But we did not. We wanted to make the cost so low that no one could say, I can't afford it.
Yeah.
We're going to give you a really upscale experience for just a donation is basically what it is.
That's
we
good.
do it for free. Yeah. This is not a fundraiser event for us. That's why we were able to make the price so low. So that
Brother Copeland, can we accommodate walk-on golfers Thursday?
I'm not sure about that, Brother Nelson, but I tell you what, if they call me or you, we can accommodate them. We would rather
there may be some walk-on golfers listening.
Well, if there's some walk-on golfers listening and that they message Brother Overton in the chat or reach out to us, we will accommodate them. I'm not I'm not sure if walking on is the best idea. Because we have some plans. I would say we will probably accommodate them up until Wednesday. But
Yeah.
the day of to walk on and say I want to play golf might kind of throw us off balance a little bit. So if you can reach out to me or the Polemarch or Brother Nelson between now and Wednesday, I'm sure we can accommodate you.
We just
And
had
if they-
someone else to come on, Joseph Yearwood.
Yes, let me introduce Joseph Yearwood to you. He is the province committee chair for the province planning committee. So Brother Yearwood was appointed by the Eastern Province Polemarch to organize all this. So he is the go-to person, the point of contact between the hotel, every vendor that we have, and everything goes through him. And we actually serve under Brother Yearwood, and we're just executing what he tells us needs to be done. Good morning, Brother Yearwood.
Welcome, Brother Yearwood.
Good morning, everyone.
With
How-
Coffee Talk. We're glad to
morning.
have you.
And
Thank you.
actually, it's Dr. Joseph Yearwood.
Okay, Dr. Joseph
Welcome.
Yearwood.
Yes.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
morning.
Brother
morning.
Yearwood, is there anything that you would like to add regarding, we talked quite a bit. I think that we did pretty good explaining to the community what we're going to have happening this week, but is there anything else you would like to add?
Well, I just connected, and so I'm not sure of what you covered, but I'm sure that you, being very familiar with all of the activities that are going on, I'm sure that you have thoroughly covered everything that that needs to be done, needs to be known.
Yes, yeah, I think we did. So, yeah, but any more questions on Brother Overton?
Yeah, I
Brother
think
Yearwood, let me ask you this question. Do you remember Judge Overton, who was a former province Polemarch?
I do.
Well, this Overton that's on the call, and this is his program, this is the son of Brother Judge Overton.
Oh,
Yeah, this is his son.
oh, my pleasure, sir. Good to meet you.
my pleasure too, Doctor. Thank you for coming on. And
And
I
one-
wanted to say, Colonel has been patiently waiting, and I know he might have a question or a comment he'd like to get in there.
Oh, okay. Thank you, Slim.
Brother Yearwood,
Yes.
Brother Nelson, good morning.
Good morning, Brother Nelson. How are you,
I'm
sir?
still waiting for my fresh Chesapeake Bay fish.
It's on the way, brother. It's
All
on the
right,
way.
all right, thank you.
Now we all want some.
Yeah.
That should have been a private.
Now, I do want to say this to Brother Chapman, right?
Yes.
Yes, I want to say this to him because I know he is retired military, correct?
Yes.
We're gonna have at our closed banquet, General Hawthorne, is that his name, Brother Yearwood? Not our,
That's-
excuse me, public meeting, General Hawthorne.
That's correct.
Yeah, so we have some very important people as it relates to the military, and we're gonna be posting the colors at the public meeting by the U.S. Coast Guard.
Okay, good job.
Good job. Good job. Yeah, got to get that in. But before I say anything, I got to give my other disclaimer. I pledged also, but I pledged me.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. So at both my universities, Hampton and Norfolk State.
Go Hampton.
Yes.
But behold the green and gold.
All right, all right.
Okay, for real, the maroon is still. If y'all want to get on that,
We're gonna have Hampton's president and Norfolk State's president there, so we'll let them
let them
discuss
hash it out.
Discuss it, yeah.
Let them duke it out. Let them duke it out. Yes. But I am glad that you stated earlier about being good stewards of money, because it has set the foundation so you pay the house off here in Portsmouth and to give all these scholarships and all that. And so the public needs to know that, the monies that you give are going to good causes. And so I had to make that one comment there. The second comment was, back in the, I hate to say the word back in the day, you had brothers working in the white fraternities, learning how to do functions and learning what the other white fraternities did and how it led to how you set up yours. And I'm reminded by a book called by Nathan McCall, titled "The Spook Who Sat by the Door." And he was first CIA agent and sat by the door and learned the ways of the whites and took over the world from there. So, but as I digress or keep going on, where do you see yourselves 10 years from now? Because I'm a longitudinal kind of guy, thinking longitudinal. So you got this big event, and after it's done and you give all, do everything you're going to do, where do you see the chapter 10 years from now?
Okay, the chapter or the fraternity as a whole?
Both.
Let me say something about what, I'm a profession. I'm a social worker by profession, but one of the things I would like to see all of the Greek letter organizations do, not just Kappa, but all of them, is to embrace social justice a bit more. That we begin to see ourselves as organizations coming together using our collective resources and our collective power to force change to occur. I think that we often go out and protest and ask that things be better, but we have to use our power, our resources, our connections to demand the change, to make it happen. It's not something that's going to be given to us because it's the right thing to do. People don't give up power and wealth because it's the right thing to do. Whenever they lose power and wealth, it's because somebody took it. And I think that's what we have to do. I think we have to strengthen our Black families, our community, and begin to create generational wealth. And I think these fraternities, like the Black church, have a role to play in making that difference in society. I don't think our role should simply be to have big conventions and to celebrate and fellowship and drop a dime in the community, and really literally a dime, because most of the time what we give doesn't make a dent in the community in any way. It's just a kind gesture, but to take responsibility to change the lives of people in our community on a broad and comprehensive scope, using outside agitation and using inside information that we have through our positions of leadership, and make changes in the world. So I would like to see us do that on a local level to become more politically active, although we, I guess for tax reasons, don't necessarily endorse candidates, but that doesn't mean you have to be completely hands-off in your community with affecting change through the political system. So I would like to see us do that locally and nationally as an organization.
And Brother Copeland hit it right on. I think, and that was one of the themes that I like to promote. We got to work better with the Divine Nine, and because obviously we all know that there are strength in numbers, and in our community, and especially the way things have seemed like in our nation has been going backwards, we have to make sure that we utilize the different things that we have, like voter rights. We have to get the people out there to understand that everyone has the voice, and if you're inactive, your voice doesn't mean anything. So those are some of the things that we can do as a Divine Nine within our community, strengthen numbers and have more influence on our youth and those others that don't realize the potential that they have within themselves.
You made a lot of great points, and I believe that everything that you've said, and I think it all goes back to voting. And because that is the fundamental right. If you want social justice, you can march and protest and do everything. But if you do not go out to vote, then all of that means nothing. So
absolutely,
with voter registration, actually getting off the couch on voting days or in the early voting times to get out there and cast that voice. Because without that voice, then you get what you get. If we would have got off our couch, we wouldn't have this Confederate governor, lieutenant governor, and attorney general that we have today, that is against everything that you've talked about today as far as social justice.
Well, one of the things that you can look at too, as it relates to fraternities and sororities, it's no secret. You should know that African-American women, and Leah would know this probably, are the most educated women in this entire country among any other group, the most educated. And because they're the most educated, you can imagine what types of positions they hold, what type of dollars they hold. I went with my wife, who's an AKA, to their boule last summer in Florida, and I was just amazed at the number of women in attendance at that convention. I was also amazed at the influence and the power that they had and the money that they were spending in Florida. But if the AKAs and the Deltas came together and the Kappas and the Qs came
Yes.
together and we used our education and money, there's not anything that we cannot
Exactly.
address under this local, state, and federal government. We could run that governor out of office if the Divine Nine decided that he had to go.
Mhm.
If we decided and were intentional
Yes.
about making
There
it
you go.
happen,
Intentional.
he would go. So
Yeah.
the conventions that we have, they're wonderful. It's just like a lot of things we do. The church, we have a lot of balls and we get dressed up and we spend a lot of money, but that money has got to be used to change the community.
Exactly.
And you know, it's a lot of good points made on this subject, and I knew this was going to happen. Kenny Wright he wasn't asked, but he's answering the Colonel's question. He said in 10 years, if the Kappas were merged with the Omegas to elevate their status. Now, I knew that was going to happen when anytime you get Greeks together, right in the middle of a serious conversation.
This is the point. This is the problem. The former mayor is losing weight, but he's also losing his mind at the same time. We need him to put that weight back on so he can get his head on right.
Get your head on right. But you know, we weren't going to make it through that. Once I started mentioning all the different Greeks that were watching, that somebody was going to come out with something. But you know, that just adds a little bit to the conversation.
We would like
Brother Copeland,
to see the former mayor at our public meeting and also at our VIP reception, so he can tell it to all of us again.
Brother Copeland.
Yes.
I just received a call from Brother Terry Blunt. He said he was at the emergency room with his wife all night and they're just getting back home. She's better, resting, and he apologizes for not being on the call this morning.
Well, we had you and Brother Yearwood and Brother Moore, and the job got done. And tell him that we hope that his wife gets well soon.
Yeah, I wanted to say this, and I think where everybody knows when you pledge on campus, and even if you pledge during the alumni chapter, the most important thing is to know that history of the organization forward and backwards. And I think it's also important for non-Greeks or our students coming up to also know the history of all the Greek organizations and what they stand for, because all of you lead by example. And whether you're a part of any of the organizations, you know, it's important to know the history and follow the lead of these different groups. And we just happen to be here with the Kappas today, and you can see what they're all about. And we could get into a whole nother conversation about politics, which, you know, I think it's important what Dr. Copeland said about the power we have within these organizations and outside of the organizations, with the organizations taking the lead, how much we can get done in this United States. But if any of you all want to address how important it is of knowing that history, you know, outside of the organization groups, especially our young folks.
Speak at the same time.
Well, we're trying to be respectful and not hog the whole program.
maybe Mr. Yearwood would like to address it. Oh, well, that's the answer.
My Bella said she had the answer for each of us.
Well, maybe
let me
what I
close
said
my
was more.
door.
Maybe what I said was more of a
you
statement.
know, I think the history is important. I think we all have a different start, a different date of inception, but we're all headed in the same place. We all have generally the same goals. Sometimes I think that the organizations, although I chose Kappa because of its history, its legacy of achievement in the community. Some people choose a fraternity the same way they choose a college. If the campus is pretty, they like that college better than they like the other. Or if this fraternity's colors are better and this fraternity steps a little bit better than the other one, that's how they choose. Not necessarily because they did extensive research on the history. So everyone's history is really a good history if you read it. We all have that great history. But I think what is important is for our children to know the greatness of these organizations in terms of the people that it produces. When you think about W.E.B. Du Bois, and he talks about the talented 10th and how those will be the people who are gonna make a difference in this community. These are the people who have means, who have power, who have knowledge, who have education. And sometimes I think we focus too much on the least common denominator among us. And I think that we need to celebrate success and achievement. That's why achievement resonates so much with me in Kappa. We need to talk about people like Colin Kaepernick, who's a Kappa, who took a knee when nobody else would take it. And although he lost his career, other people are better because of him.
Exactly.
That's right. You look at people like Johnny Cochran, the late Johnny Cochran, or what is the attorney, Brother Nelson, that was the first billionaire that bought the
Gary, no.
No, he's an Omega.
Reginald
This is the
Lewis.
brother from
Reginald Lewis.
Reginald
Baltimore.
Lewis,
See, that's
yes.
Virginia State.
Reginald Lewis.
Reginald Lewis.
Reginald Lewis.
Right.
Yes.
And I don't want Arthur Ashe, a great Kappa from Richmond, Virginia.
Yes.
Mayor Tom Bradley.
Tom Bradley
from
there.
California. Yeah.
Yeah, Tom Bradley. And I got to meet him too during my Kappa years when we had a convention in Los Angeles and a couple other places. So I think that for our children, we need to be able to show them something other than athletes. And
Yes.
we need to show them medical doctors, lawyers, scientists, researchers, university professors, engineers. They need to see it all. They need to see Black people who are wealthy and who are doing good and who have gone from little to a lot. And then they need to share how they got there. I was talking to a friend of mine recently who's acquired some level of wealth over his life, in his life and career. He and his wife together as a team, and he was just sharing that knowledge. Now I'm up there in age now, but that same knowledge would be very, very beneficial to these young people. So I think the achievement is really what we need to talk about. We need to celebrate. We can read the history, but these real life examples that we have every day need to be shared with these young people.
You're right about that.
Yes. You know, those names that you listed out are not being taught in our schools today. And if you look at the trend, the other side, the Confederates don't want that history to be taught. And you can look at it, if you look at a map of the country, we've almost gone to a North versus South, Confederacy versus the Union, and the rights of everybody are being affected in this country. But as I digress even further, you talked about Black women. They're the most educated, powerful group in this country. They are really responsible for the success of the President Joe Biden. They got him to this chair. But could you imagine if they didn't come out and Donald Trump was the president now? What would this day be like? We'd be hunted down in the street.
That's why the Divine Nine is so important. That's why that unity among the Panhellenic Campus, Divine Nine, their strength in numbers.
Yes.
I mean, you bring all these AKAs, deltas, zetas, sigma, gamma, rhos, Qs, kappas, alphas, phi, beta, sigmas, iotas together, and they decide that they want something to happen, it's gonna happen. But we have to come together. And again, sometimes these political things don't scare me, because it just kind of saddens me, because it doesn't have to be that way. If we decided we wanted to make a change, this governor is not there because we actively supported him being there. He's there because we passively allow him to get there. So if we decided that we wanted him gone, and we brought these organizations together in the state of Virginia, he would be gone. One of the things that they fear in this country is our strength, not our weakness. They fear our strength. And so that's why you have things like voter suppression. It's because we primarily vote Democrat. Our numbers are increasing. And then if we were to unite with other minority groups, white people don't make up but about I believe it's 10%, if I'm not sure, no more than 20% of the world population. Everyone else on earth is a person of color.
Amen.
Is a person of color. So they fear population growth. They fear the browning of America. And so because they cannot outbirth us, they cannot create numbers greater than us. They try to suppress our power through policy that marginalizes us and keep us relegated to a place in society where we have no power. So the educated African-American people among us, these sororities and fraternities and the Kappas, we have to be the voice for those who are voiceless. We have to use our education. And just think about it. When you go into an AKA meeting or a Kappa meeting, and I'm amazed sometimes when I sit around the room at our fraternity meetings with 30, 40 people in the room, the amount of education combined in that room, the amount of money combined from those people in that room, and the amount of power and influence and connections that we have. And if we just sit there and we enjoy a meal and we debate a little bit and agree to give a scholarship and go home, have we done all that we can do, or have we done the bare minimum?
That's a lot, but you hit it on the head. Hit it on the head.
Yeah, you sure sent out a strong message there, bro.
That's a strong message, and that summarizes this whole program today. Really does.
I wanted to let Mr. Chapman know and everyone else that Sam Greenlee, author of Spook, who sat beside the door.
Yes.
Member of Kappa Alpha Psi Fraternity Incorporated.
All right.
Yeah, drop those names.
And one of the other things that we do well, and I wish as I was growing up that I had exposure to more of it. I had exposure to Kappa as I got to high school, which kind of made me want to play once I go Kappa route once I got to college. But as a youth in my neighborhood, I grew up in the inner city of Boston. We just didn't have the men that were achieving. For us, the guys that were achieving were the ones that, as you see in some of these programs now, the ones that's getting the bling on or whatever else through whatever activities that are going on in their neighborhood. Some of the guys that grew up with, like now with our guy, right, some of the things that we have done, we've gone there and just have a session of how to tie your tie or talk about financial literacy or things like computer, and those things make it different. And when we had the one with just tying the tie, there were so many of them that they were excited to learn how to tie a tie, and this at the high school level, and everyone's, especially the youth doing things like that, everyone's just wearing sneak it out or, casual clothes. So those are some of the things that all Divine Nine, they all do the kind of same thing, want to be involved in the community, involved in youth and developing leaders. And those are the things that we need to continue to strengthen and reach out even more to the youth, so that can be the ones that continue to make a difference as we move forward.
Now, I know that you all are giving financially to the school, but do you have a presence in the school? I know you said you've done some ties in the high school, but do you currently have a presence in the schools?
We do have a presence in the schools, as Brother Copeland mentioned earlier, with our Guy Right program, which is called our Kappa League. We are doing things in both cities. And previously, we were kind of focused on one school in Portsmouth, and we wanted to make sure that we expanded a little bit. So now we're in Portsmouth and Suffolk, and we started rotating the schools. We're trying to see what works better to be able to reach out instead of being at one school, see if we can go to multiple schools and see if we can pull the resources and the youth from each of those schools, from each of the cities. And it seems to have been working better. And then, of course, we got post-COVID area, and now everything like as we are now, we got the hybrid type of way, get together in person or through Zoom calls. And so we've been offering that, and that has also helped as well, because sometimes you just can't make it there. You may not have a car, vehicle transportation. So now we're reaching out via Zoom calls as well.
Okay, very good. And now you're focusing on the higher grades, or is there a particular grade level that you're focusing on?
It's not a big, we probably from the middle school on.
Mhm.
You know, we like to get a lot of the high schoolers because we know that they're the next ones to go on to the next level, but we want to also start early at the middle schoolers as they approach the high school level.
And it's a good thing. If you start with those middle schoolers, then get them prepared for high school because currently they're not.
Absolutely.
So it'd be a good thing to start with those middle schoolers so that they can have those tools that they would need so that they would be what they would even consider success when they get to high school. So I'm glad to hear that you're actually having a physical presence in the school, which is important.
Absolutely. And we've one of the other things we've done this year, several of our Kappa leaguers play basketball, and so we've attended their games. You know, those are type of things that are like, you know, even when I grew up playing sports, so, you know, a lot of times, like I mentioned, in our neighborhood, most times most of the families in there, their dads went around. It's kind of an anomaly if your dad was there, you know, you're like, oh, your dad lives with you. And so, and one of the things that it wasn't that big of a deal then because that was just a norm of life. But I look back now, it's like, man, I wish my dad could attended more of my games and things like that. So we, as a fraternity, we've done that. We've gone out and shown support at some of their basketball games in numbers, you know, and it's kind of nice, you know, they look up and they see, and you can see the smile on their face, like, okay, they're here to see me.
Exactly.
So that, to know that they got someone in their corner, you know, supporting them, that's also helps as well.
You know, and also for young men to see our men dressed up.
Yes.
It means a lot. I took my youth group to the Men for Progress banquet in Chesapeake, and one of my little boys saw the guys in their suits and in their ties. He says, I want to get a suit just like that one day. You know, give them something to aspire towards, you know, as opposed to, I love the jeans and sneakers and what have you, but let's give them something else to look forward to wearing besides those items. So I thank you all for all that you're doing. I really do.
Thank you. Thank you.
I got to make one correction real quick before we get off the air. You know, I said incorrectly about Nathan McCall.
Yeah.
It makes me want to holler.
Yeah.
So I just want to make that correct, give the right author to the right book in that piece. I just want to put that in there.
Yeah, that's why Nelson. That's why Nelson came back with Greenlee as being the author of The Spook Who Sat by the Door. Yes,
both those books are classics.
Both great books.
Great
both
books.
Classics. Both classics.
And just to let you know, because my memory of Norfolk State are during the golden years, I think, when when Dr. Harrison B. Wilson was the president of the university. By the way, he was a Kappa. I just needed you to know that as well. So we're talking about the difference Kappas have made in the local community. And if you went to Norfolk State and he was president, and you have a lot to be thankful for how that university embraced students.
Exactly.
Who, some other institutions would not, because of their, not necessarily always because of their ability, but many times because of their race. Exactly. And he changed the lives of a lot of people. So in education is what they talked about. I know Tavis Mountain, I said this before, when he was active in the media and they used to do Covenant with Black America, he said that an education is the surest way to lift a person from poverty to middle class. And so when you have an institution like Norfolk State in your backyard, they're changing a whole lot of lives.
Yes, they are.
University changing a whole lot of lives. And even Old Dominion, who happens to happen to have
a Black president.
A Black president, a significant Black president on that campus. Because when my daughter went there, I would go over and I would ask her, where are these Black kids coming from? Dad, ODU is not a PWI. So that's a significant institution in our community. We invited that president. He was not able to come, but we got two of the heavyweights from the Hampton Roads area in terms of university presidents to come out and bring greetings to us. So,
wonderful.
Excellent.
Yeah, as we wind down, I think I just want to make sure that any other members of Kappa Alpha Psi would like to make any closing statements. I know Brother Yearwood just came on. I don't know if you wanted to make a closing statement or have something you'd like to add before we close out.
Okay, I'd just simply like to say that I certainly appreciate the opportunity that you've extended to the Portsmouth Suffolk alumni chapter to come onto your program to be able to talk about not only their chapter, all the great things that they're doing, and and looking forward to this week's Providence Council, but also to talk about the fraternity. I think that Brother Copeland and their Polemarch have done a fantastic job in terms of expressing what Kappa is all about. And so really thank you for that opportunity. And it's a pleasure meeting you, Mr. Overton. I do remember Brother Overton. He was quite a Kappa, quite a man. And so it's my pleasure to meet you as well.
And my pleasure to meet you as well, sir. Thank you.
And brother, hopefully one day, brother Slim Overton here on the call, he's going to be at our public meeting, Brother Yearwood, and I certainly would like to introduce him to you and to the Providence Polemarch.
Great. I look forward to it.
And I noticed you asked about the events. So if you go to our website, if you don't know, it's Kappa Alpha Psi Portsmouth Suffolk.org, or you can just Google Kappa Alpha Psi Portsmouth, it'll come up, and just click on calendar and you'll see the events for the Bida We to register, and the HBCU Greek night on Friday and the sneaker ball. You can register or get tickets in advance for those events, and just peruse the site itself.
I was just looking at the chat that you put in the chat room. I was going to add that, but you beat me to it. So great job, Brother Moore. Great job.
Thank you.
And before we go, Slim, I think we would be remiss if we did not mention the name of our Eastern Province Polemarch, who's is it the 29th, Brother Yearwood?
It is.
It is 29th. Yeah.
29th Eastern Province Polemarch. Charles E. Exum Jr. is our leader for the Eastern Province, DC, Maryland, Virginia, and Bermuda.
Oh, okay. That's good. Do you think you're gonna have anybody from Bermuda attending?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
All right.
Already registered.
All right. That's good.
We're just trying to, we want to encourage them to take the next convention to Bermuda. So.
It's been a while since we were there.
Yeah, it's needed.
Well, thanks. Well, any of our hosts have any closing comments?
Well, let me say this morning, I just feel honored to be among such handsome young men here on today who is bringing such great knowledge to the community. So I want to tell each of you, thank you so very much for coming on Portsmouth Coffee Talk, sharing information about your great event that's coming up this weekend, as well as all that you continue to do for the community. I'd like to say thank you all so very much. And I just wish that you all will have a wonderful, wonderful fair this weekend.
And
thank you.
Leah, you will be out on Friday?
I'll be out when?
You'll be out to our public meeting on Friday?
I will definitely put that on my calendar. What time does it start?
It
6
starts
o'clock?
at 7 o'clock.
7 o'clock.
Oh, yes, 7 o'clock. And
Okay.
Colonel, will you be out on Friday? You have
Yes, I think I'll venture out and check you all out.
Okay, that'd be great.
Okay. James, you're going
Colonel-
Friday, right?
Yeah, I'll be there. Yeah.
Okay.
Colonel,
good.
you're invited to come out as well.
Yes, I'll be in DC Friday.
Okay, all right, sounds good.
Okay.
I-
Go ahead.
Colonel,
Go ahead, Colonel.
Go ahead, Slim.
No, you go ahead, Colonel. I was going to close out.
No, I just want to echo what Leah said, and she said it all. And I just like to thank y'all in advance for what you're going to do in the future.
Thank you.
Yeah, and I like to say I'm glad you came on and talked about the event, but also talked about the history of the Kappas and talked about some other issues, to see how well-rounded everything is. It's not all about events and having parties and things like that. It goes a little deeper than that, is what these organizations stand for and what they're all about out here. So you have an open invitation to always come back here, just like in any groups of the Divine Nine. We have a lot of respect for what you do in the communities and throughout the United States and the world. So you always, and you can see why we always have Dr. Bruce Copeland on here, because he helps us in dealing with some of the subjects, the heavy subjects that we deal with here on Portsmouth Coffee Talk. So thanks again, and we appreciate it. And Portsmouth Coffee Talk is here for our voice.
Oh my goodness. I'm sorry. Our community.
In our future.
And we salute you, the
We
Kappa
salute
Alpha
you
Psi
guys. Thank you.
Fraternity Incorporated. We
Thank
appreciate
you
it.
for all that you do.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
It's been
you.
a pleasure.
Thank you.
We'll see you Friday.
All right.